who, despite their potential, face financial barriers in pursuing higher education. Mount Kenya University has always been dedicated to providing quality education and fostering an environment of inclusivity. Today, Mount Kenya University Foundation has taken a step further by inviting non-governmental organizations and corporate institutions to join hands with us in establishing a university scholarship foundation that will open doors for bright yet underprivileged students. Education is the cornerstone of societal progress, and we firmly believe that financial constraints should never be a hindrance to acquiring knowledge. As we gather here, we recognize the transformative power of education in breaking the circles of poverty, fostering innovation, and building a better tomorrow for all of us. Mount Kenya University Scholarship Fund aims to create a platform where the dreams and aspirations of talented students are not hampered by financial constraints. It is a call to action, an invitation for NGOs and corporate entities to contribute to the collective well-being of our society by investing in the education of those who will shape its future. By establishing this fund, we are not just offering scholarships, we are investing in human potential, in the creation of leaders, innovators, and the change makers. We are sowing the seed of progress and development that will bear fruit for generations to come. I urge each organization present here today to consider this opportunity not merely as a philanthropic gesture, but as an investment in a brighter, more equitable future. Your support will not only change individual lives, but will contribute to the socio-economic development of our communities and the nation at large. Let us work hand in hand to make education a beacon of hope, a force that transcends barriers and empowers the underprivileged. Together, we can make a difference, one scholarship at a time. Thank you for accepting our invitation, and we look forward to a fruitful discussion and collaboration that will undoubtedly emerge from this gathering. I now wish to invite our valued partners to introduce the organization before we can proceed to the next agenda. So each one of you here present, you are a partner from a given organization, or as an individual you've decided to join us. We do recognize you and value you in a special way. I will start by inviting Teach Kenya, Madam Ferdinand Arunga, Mr. Ferdinand Arunga, the Head of Finance and Operation, to introduce their organization, and then we can proceed. We'll be giving you 1 minute or 2 minutes at most, if you are present.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ferdinand Arunga. I'm representing from Teach for Kenya. The CEO is called Yukabeth Kidenda. She sent her apologies here today. So we are also advancing sustainable goal number 4, addressing quality. accessing quality education. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Since people are taking breakfast, I request maybe you can be passing the microphone to people where they are seated, so that we save our time. Okay. I'm advised you need to come in front because of live streaming. I now wish to invite one of our own, and who has been with Mount Kenya University for a long time, the longest time, Madam Akote, to introduce to us what she does best. I wanted to introduce, but I know she does quite a lot, and I may miss one or two things out. Madam Akote, most welcome, please.
Okay, I'm Scottish again. Good morning, everyone. My name is Esther Kokeo. I am the CEO and the founder of MKU Foundation. And I don't know what I should say, I'm an alumni, or yeah, I'm about to graduate from Mount Kenya University, business management. I've specialized in human resource management, so I've been in the university for the past 14 years, just to achieve a course for 4 years. So you can call me Mrs. Resilience. Well, MKU Foundation has so many pillars. And before, I've only been attending to droughts and people suffering from HIV/AIDS. I have a feeding program in Turkana, and something came into my mind, and I realized that now I need to focus more on education. Education is the only key to success. We don't go to school to get jobs, we go to school to gain knowledge and even know how to live with people in the society. And that was the origin and the beginning of MKU Academy. From the village where I come from, it's a pity when I see children below age 5 walking just around with nobody taking care of them, walking without panties. You know, the children are just scattered, no attachment. Those are the things that forced me to open a school right inside the village called MKU Academy, where MKU Foundation will be sponsoring children who do not have parents and those who are coming from, domestic violent families. When you look at social media right now, you'll realize we have quite a lot of negativity. When you look at the children who are commenting such kind of things, they are touched from reality. They are suffering from traumas they carried from age 0. Therefore, MKU Academy is to empower minds and to strengthen the potential in the children. Our main focus is to cultivate talents and nurture skills through music, sports, dancing, and that's the only way you can get into the nitty-gritty of a child's development. Don't know if we have parents here, but just to let you know that developing a child's character is from age 0 to 1,000 days. If you miss out in your children's life between age 0 to 1,000 days, forget building any character in that child, because samaki mkunja ngali mchanga. Those are the focuses that MKU, well, I have so many businesses, so MKU Academy is going to focus on. The school we build in the village is from grade early childhood to grade 6. And we are looking into accommodating 140 students this year. Our impact, well, this is quite, we are focusing on raising children who needs our assistance. Man, this is just driving me crazy. Are we there? Okay, our impact as a foundation. This year, we sponsored 5 students on EQUIP program provided by Mount Kenya University. And I believe I'm able to provide a working experience and a working environment for these students. I categorically picked these students based on the capacity of my companies. We sponsored 5 students on the other programs were called what? Someone to help me with the list. Do I even remember? Okay. On human resource, hospitality, travel and tourism. And when these students finish school, they will come and I will employ them in my companies. There's the education part. When they come, they will now join Akode Academy. Under Akode Academy, we have sponsored students which are sponsored by Akode Foundation. Please note, Akode Academy is different from Akode Foundation. Akode Foundation sponsors the needy students. But Akode Academy can be joined by anybody who is able to afford because the school has to run. Akode Foundation has no donors. I am the only donor and the supporter of Akode Foundation. However, through the brand that I've built over years, I've gotten some partners who have supported me when it comes to mentorship programs of padding girls in the community. We all know that women drop out of school when they have their periods. So those are one of the sectors that Akode Foundation is strong on. I really thank Chandaria Industries for always coming on board to support me with sanitary towels. We all have to join hands and help the community. Akode Academy is not just but a school, but it will be a school that will create a big statement in the society. The children will grow knowing us and me as a mother. I would like to be there for them, guide them, and control their way of thinking. You are all welcome to join Akode Academy. Please support us in your own little way. We are beginning in a very big way. You can support us with anything you need. You can follow us on www.akodeacademy.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that good presentation. I now want to invite Hope Worldwide, Mr. Gibson Nganga, who is in charge of Communication and Business Development Manager, to introduce his organization. Please come forward if you are present.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Gibson Nganga, and I work for Hope Worldwide Kenya. There's a small confusion in the titling. My role in the organization is I'm the social protection lead of one of our major projects that we implement here in Nairobi, which is dubbed DREAMS. DREAMS is funded through the support of the Americans, through the PEPFAR agency, and we cover Nairobi, and one of our interventions is to provide education subsidies. Sorry, okay. Yeah, so, and one of our interventions is to provide education subsidies to over 10,000 girls who are needy in Nairobi. So I'm going to invite my colleague Tabitha, who is now going to speak more about the organization and also the program. She's the holder of the title, Communications and Business Development. Thank you. Welcome, Tabitha.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I believe I am audible. See, my mic is not working, but I believe you can all hear me. So good morning once again. Oh, it's now working. Good morning once again. My name is Tabitha Muya. Yes, and I'm the Communications and Business Development Officer. I am the Communications and Business Development Officer at Hope Worldwide Kenya. We are a local, faith-based, not-for-profit organization, and it is a national organization. We work with youth, children, and key populations to improve their quality of life through inclusive health programming in underserved communities in Kenya. We began our work in 2000, and we launched officially in 2002 in February. Our major work started in Mukuru Informal Settlement, where we started with Benevolence Act to provide service in the community, and especially to mitigate against poverty, to fight against HIV and AIDS, and to address vulnerable orphans. And of course, the programs have expanded, and now we are in 9 counties in the country. We sometimes are in 13, and currently we are operating in 9 counties. And for the purpose of this meeting, one of the programs that we run is providing education support to vulnerable and bright children. So, like my colleague said, we work with, or rather funded by the US government through the Presidential Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. And one of the projects that we implement is dubbed DREAMS. DREAMS is an acronym, and it's a determined, resilient, empowered, AIDS-free, mentored, and safe girls. It's geared towards improving the life of young women, adolescent girls, and young women in fighting against HIV and AIDS. We all know we are celebrating the World AIDS Day this Friday on 1st of December. We've made great milestones as a country, and yes, every one of us has contributed to that. And one of the interventions within that project is we keep girls in school. Just like my former speaker said, many girls drop out of school for lack of school fees. And the project is designed that we ensure that every girl who is vulnerable does not drop out of school for lack of school fees. So we do provide education support. Another project that is also relevant with the meeting today is called the Kenya Kids Project. So this one is funded by individual donors from the US, and they do fundraise from holding small fundraising campaigns within their different states in the US and send the money to Kenya. And we identify children, especially in the informal settlements. And currently we are supporting over 300 children. The girls that we are supporting in the DREAMS project, overall we are supporting over 100,000 girls in 44 wards, and we have 18 site offices in Nairobi. So, and we also have another project, we call it Jump Quest. It's also supporting children through education, and this one is also supported from the US. The children in the US, in their high school, they play basketball, and whenever they hold basketball tournaments, the money that they raise is sent to Kenya, and through Hope Worldwide Kenya, we identify the children who are vulnerable and provide support to them. So that is what I will share at the moment that is relevant to this particular event, and we are very grateful for the invitation, and we are looking forward for great partnerships and interaction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Tabitha Juliana. Our next presenter is from the Danish Refugee Council, Juliana Leto, and I request that we take a maximum of 2 to 3 minutes because of the time factor. A representative from the area manager, Danish Refugee Council, if you're present, most welcome. If she has not come, we can have Plan International. Mr. Nahashon Indinya Kulea, the manager.
So good morning, everyone. I'll stick to the time, 2 minutes as instructed. My name is Nahashon Gulali. I'm the program advisor, Plan International, supporting youth development programs from early childhood, the adolescent, going all through to tertiary level. So what we do as Plan International, our goal is to end teenage pregnancies and all forms of violence against girls and young women. Our niche is, especially for young people, we deal with 15 years to 24. In line to what Mount Kenya Foundation is doing, we support young women and girls, especially the vulnerable ones who maybe have been affected by poverty, victims of gender-based violence, victims of FGM, are actually maybe victims of early marriages because of the retrogressive norms and basically the retrogressive norms. We've been supporting scholarship and the sponsorship programs since inception, that is in 1982. And to date, we are supporting girls, especially the ones who come from the vulnerable and marginalized areas, to get technical education support. And we've been supporting them to do formerly male-dominated courses. For instance, we are in partnership with NITA, the National Industrial Training Authority, and we are supporting girls to do mechanics and auto electrics, basically to just defy what is actually happening in the labor market. So we are proud to have supported 86 girls and 64 men in taking mechanical courses through a full scholarship, let me just say full sponsorship that has been supported by Hyundai Motor Company and NITA as the service provider. Other than that, we are also supporting girls who are victims of gender-based violence in the informal settlements of Nairobi. That is mainly Mathare and Kibra, to take up hospitality courses, and after the course they are actually attached through the Global Hospitality Alliance, and that is the likes of the hotels of Marriott, the Four Points, the Radissons. And through that initiative, we've seen 22 girls being supported by that program. So our entry point in supporting girls and young women in the tertiary level of education, I would actually say we are open to more partnerships, and not just partnerships, but also working together with organizations or individuals or partners who are actually doing initiatives that are supporting girls. We are so much passionate about uplifting the girl child from all forms of vulnerabilities. So thank you so much for the invitation today. We look forward to opening our doors for partnerships, especially in the tertiary level of education. And I think Mount Kenya, we are so happy for this invitation. Thank you so much, and we look forward to working together.
Thank you very much. I now invite Amara Charitable Trust, Madam Teresa, the administrator, to address the congregation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Teresa Pereira from the Amara Charitable Trust. We started in 2008, and our core mission was to educate, empower, and enhance the lives of youth in marginalized counties. Currently, we have engaged with 17 schools, mostly in Kajiado and Machakos area. We've built classrooms, 68 classrooms, dormitories, kitchens, ablution blocks, including workshops and labs. We then moved on to feeding programs, and currently we work with 7 primary schools, and we provide 5,820 lunches every day during school terms. In 2020, we started with our Education Fund program, and today we have 68 secondary school students we are supporting. 16 have just finished their KCSEs. We have 97 TVET students we've supported in both private and government TVETs. Of these 97, 29 have graduated successfully in September. So we try to complete the cycle. We take them from primary schools we support to a secondary school we support, and then engage with the same students into a TVET. We prefer to send them to technical colleges to learn a technical trade, and we choose students who come from really vulnerable backgrounds. So it could be with poor grades as well, because generally they tend to be ignored. So we take students with a C- and below, right up to grade E, because we feel they deserve a chance, which most, I think, NGOs forget about. So today we have girls in plumbing, building, mechanics, electrical. We have young girls studying for hairdressing, catering, and today we have girls also completing their internships in hotels like Trademark. So it's really impressive to see girls who came out of nothing, now really confident young women with a future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, a round of applause. I now like to invite Africa Digna, the project manager, to introduce this organization.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Father Steven Legarda. Charlie, Steve. I'm the project manager of Africa Digna Foundation, and a foundation coming from Barcelona, Spain. Currently, we are turning our 20 years, all of them working in Kenya. The organization started to work in Kenya, especially in Samburu County. And so far we're still working hard in that place, and nowadays also many other places of our country. Our 2 pillars are education and health. Currently we have over 100 students sponsored, and not only in a higher education level but also secondary schools, and mobile clinics in Masai Mara and in Samburu County, especially in the remote areas. The health service is not accessible. I'm very happy to be able to participate today in this place, in this meeting, and being able also to hear the big impact many other stakeholders are just making in our society in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause. I'd like to inform all of us here present that we are live on all MKU social media and TV47, so we can keep in touch. Now, allow me to invite Africa Education Development Trust, Ali Ngaruya, the benefactor, to be present. Please have your seat.
Good morning. Good morning. Ali Ngaruya sends his apologies. He could not make it today. Ali Ngaruya sends his apologies. He cannot make it today. As for Africa Education and Development Trust, we offer interest-free study loans. We support students for their master's program, undergraduate, diploma. We disburse fees on a semester basis, and we give the parents monthly repayment. Basically, we just do education financing, and so far we have been supporting a lot of Mount Kenya beneficiaries. We've been working together with Mount Kenya, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think we are doing very well. Now, we have our big partners here present. Family Bank Foundation. The Family Bank Foundation. If they have not arrived, we can now have I&M Bank Foundation. Thank you, most welcome.
Good afternoon. Good morning. Yeah, my name is James Katera from I&M Foundation, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today. As I come here, I seek to see how better we who are already in the space of sponsoring and supporting students and working with them through both secondary and tertiary education, how can we do that better? We have the whole challenge of the new system coming in, the junior secondary school, and that place is a place that we're still trying to understand. And as we support students, we think about them from an angle of holistic transformation, not just the education. We work with them to transform their lives. And so as we come here, as we come to engage in our discussion today, it's trying to see how do we build on that. We want to see not just students who are bright, but we want to see leaders, people who have been formed into a whole leader who can lead our society into the future. And that is our goal. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now we invite Asante Africa, Deputy CEO, Strategic Partnership and Development. If you're present, please come forward. Okay, seems that they've not arrived. It's my pleasure now to invite Impact Philanthropy Africa, Madam Patricia Ndewa, the CEO, to make a recognition. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. No, I need a better good morning than that. You've been given breakfast. Good morning, everyone. Yes. As I've been introduced, my name is Patricia Ndegwa. I'm the CEO and head of Secretariat for a forum called Impact Philanthropy Africa. Who is Impact Philanthropy Africa? We are a forum of foundations, both corporate, independent, and private charitable foundations, many of whom are working in Kenya, across Africa, and globally. All our members are working to create social impact and to transform lives. As a forum, we do three things for the philanthropic sector. One, we create a space for mutual learning and sharing. Secondly, we provide a platform for pursuing social advocacy issues that are key to growing the corporate and private giving space in Kenya and Africa. And third, we provide thought leadership around key issues and best practices when it comes to how corporate and private giving can have a bigger impact across various social sectors. So first off, I want to just acknowledge MKU Foundation for organizing this morning's meeting and for organizing such key vital issues in terms of how can we make a bigger impact in the education space, especially when we're talking about higher education. What is the link between Impact Philanthropy Africa and the Mount Kenya University? MKU Foundation has been an active member of Impact Philanthropy Africa and is one of the pioneers and early members of foundations from the higher education sector. I believe our only other member is Aga Khan University Foundation. Mount Kenya University in Impact Philanthropy Africa is ably represented by Professor Wanderi. Within Impact Philanthropy Africa and the foundations, they have organized themselves under key sectors, and one of those is education. And the chair that is chairing that education committee is Mount Kenya University. So this is just another example in terms of how how Mount Kenya University is helping drive the discussions and the agenda when it comes to looking at how the philanthropic sector can channel its money and its giving much more impactfully to these issues. Why am I saying this? We recently concluded a survey of over 200 foundations and corporates. And the survey found out that out of the giving, in Kenya alone, the philanthropic sector is giving $1.56 billion to philanthropy. When we look at where that $1.56 billion is going, education sector is the area that is most funded. This makes it a key issue when we're talking about Kenya's development agenda, when we're talking about sustainable development. And so this is why discussions like this morning are so critical. When we look at where foundations within that funding of education sector is going, the key area is around scholarships and bursaries, as well as supporting infrastructure, learning materials. But when we look at bursaries and education, majority of that is going to scholarships that are helping access to primary and secondary education. When I briefly looked at your brochure this morning, and I looked at the comments by your founder, he said something very profound, and to me, which highlights the opportunity and underpins the discussions today. Majority of funding is going to primary school to secondary transition rates, and we've done very well. It's now nearly 100%. But there's a gap when it comes to looking at adequate resources to fund university and TVET. And this is where the opportunity lies. How can we engage key stakeholders, key partners such as the philanthropic sector to look at where are the opportunities to enhance our human capital, to ensure we also get 100% transition from secondary to university. So as Impact Philanthropy Africa, I just want to say thank you for inviting us here. I want to invite Mount Kenya University Foundation, after this breakfast meeting, if we can continue engaging the broader members of Impact Philanthropy Africa and see how we can continue this important dialogue in seeing how those resources that are funding scholarships and bursaries can also fund higher education and TVET access. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think we are now almost come to the end of the organizations. If people have anything to say, are you presented? Introduce yourself. 1 minute, and then we can have the University Council. Mount Kenya University Council representative to also introduce themselves before we go move the agenda of the day.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sheila Chuti from Equip Africa Institute. We are a TVET college, a TVET arm of Mount Kenya University, and we offer different courses from diploma to certificate to artisan level, and we have different campuses. We have our medical and health sciences in Kitale, that is our health sciences campus. We also have our Nairobi campus. We have Thika, Malindi, Mombasa, Kisii, and Nakuru campuses. In total, we have 7 campuses. Equip Africa Institute is still expanding, and I have seen Madam Esther today. She was able to support us and be able to sponsor some of our students. Thank you very much, Madam Esther. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I want to invite Mount Kenya University Council representative Madam Mary to greet the audience, and then we move to the main agenda.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning once again. My name is Mary Olubai, and I stand here on behalf of the Mount Kenya Council, the University Council. First of all, to congratulate Mount Kenya itself for this day and for the big step in coming up with the Mount Kenya University Foundation. Now, on behalf of the Council, I would like to say that Mount Kenya is a leader in itself, and we are very proud to be associated with MKU. The Council is fully in support of this foundation, and we will say that in Mount Kenya we offer holistic education. We want to be there to go to university, the obvious name in your mouth when you think about quality education. And so we want to remain the top notch, and so far we want to thank God that in the region, in the country, we have that niche, we have that position that we can boldly and in public claim to hold. And so as a council, we are committed to make MKU that institution that offers equitable, quality, affordable education, so that we can break the barriers that stop each and every person from achieving the goal that they want to in education. In the region, Mount Kenya is also felt. We are not just in the country. Recently, we gave birth to a university in Kigali, the Mount Kigali University, and it's something that we're very proud of. And we know very soon we are going to go even beyond the region and be in the continent. And so we are big in supporting the country and indeed the world in achieving SDG number 10 in the reduction of inequality. We offer education to all, regardless of religion, regardless of the tribe, regardless of race, color, age even. And in other words, MKU is borderless. We go where education is needed. We are in Puntland, we are in the region, and we are saying that just a matter of time before we actually break the banks of education in the world. And so the Council is very proud to be associated with MKU Foundation, and we shall do what it takes to ensure that the foundation remains steadfast, achieves the goals that it has set to do, and at the end of the day, we want to say we are offering education to Kenyans and humans so that they are not just academic giants who are social dwarfs, but an all-rounded person who can be felt in the nation and in the world. So congratulations from the Council. The Council oversees all the areas of the university, from human resource to the education, anything that is quality. And we say we are very, very proud, and we commit ourselves even to going the greater length in achieving all that we set out to do, and especially the foundation. So long live Mount Kenya, long live MKU Foundation. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. Now we are moving to the next session, and in the next session I'd like to invite the Deputy Director, Student Resource Mobilization and International Recruitment, Mr. Daniel Kiriki, to take us through the next phase.
Thank you, Professor Kirosi. Now I come here as a resource mobilizer. Somebody has left the glasses here. I hope you can see me. Yeah, and in this office, I would like to invite the Executive Director, Mount Kenya Foundation, to give a brief of what we are doing, what we have been able to achieve, and where we want to go. Mr. John Koigi, karibu.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning once again. I intend to keep this very short. I know we are running short of time. And I'll start by conveying greetings from our patron, Professor Simon Gicharu. He is the founder of Mount Kenya University. He has assured us of his support now and on any deliberations that we shall have in future. I also wish to express my gratitude to you for honoring our invitation and sparing your precious time to be with us. As some of you are aware, we were forced to postpone this event due to unavoidable circumstances, and once again we beg your pardon for any inconveniences caused. This is the first in many such forums we intend to hold in future, and we look forward to your partnership and patronage in them. In today's forum, which I have deliberately labeled as an icebreaker, we as MKU Foundation intend to do 4 things. Number 1 is to trigger your thoughts into the prospect of establishing an association of grant makers and benefactors in education who will be a common, unified, and unequivocal voice. Number 2, we intend to use this association as a lobby for a possible future inclusion on the table of educational financing decision policymakers. Number 3, we shall be meeting periodically to populate reports and measure the impact and success of our educational funding programs. Number 4, we explore the possibility of establishing a joint scholarship fund. And last but not least, to share tidbits of information on the work we have done as MKU Foundation together with our partners, some of whom are in this hall, and explore avenues of expanding these partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, our work as Mount Kenya University Foundation neatly dovetails with the educational sponsorship and funding programs within your organizations. We are inspired by a common mantra which boldly states that no adequate funding leads to no education and no future. Where there is no adequate funding, then there cannot be education. And without education, there can be no future. You will agree with me when I say that building an equitable and sustainable future for our country needs a well-funded education system that leaves no child behind. Not so long ago, the former Education Cabinet Secretary, Professor Jacob Kaimenyi, spoke during a dinner fundraiser for a different foundation, in which he said that he had deeply thought about the Presidential Working Party on education reforms, what is popularly known as Professor Munavu's task force, and pondered whether the task force had indeed addressed what he described as the nagging problem of ensuring equal access to quality education. Professor Kaimenyi went ahead to say that if the task force had not addressed this problem, and here I quote him verbatim, then one would expect that foundations would go an extra mile to address this gap. Well, I must say that I totally agree with the good professor. And to add on to his sentiments, it is not just foundations, but also NGOs with programs in education, and trusts and individual benefactors that have to step up in order to enhance this educational access. Since the new model was rolled out last September with the first intake, there has been a heightened demand for scholarships and funding from individual students. I'm sure you have also witnessed that in your organizations. But many benefactors often feel that though they play an integral role in complementing the government's efforts to enhance this access, their efforts have not been incentivized enough. For instance, few, if any, mainstream policy decisions on the funding of higher education take into account the voice of benefactors such as you. Yet you are often the last refuge for the bright students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds whose academic dreams risk fizzling out due to lack of tuition fees. The stories of two young people, Millicent Nafula, who is a medical student at MKU, and Moses Dhuo, who is gainfully employed as an accountant, very well illustrate this point. Despite scoring an impeccable A- grade in her KCSE, it took 14 years for Millicent to join university. And this enrollment happened all thanks to MKU Foundation and its patron, Professor Simon Gisharu. Millicent is, by the way, with us here, and I would call upon her to stand up, at least people to see you. That is Millicent Nafula. Her story aired prominently on Citizen TV, for which MKU Foundation intervened and gave her a full scholarship. And as for Moses Dhuo, when he sat for his final secondary school exam, he qualified to join university, but due to lack of fees, he resorted to his old way of sustenance as a welder, yani mtu wa kuchomelea, which he had learned as an apprentice. He told me that friends used to mock him, often asking him whether university qualification had made him any different from the other welders. But different he was, and different he became through the intervention of MKU Foundation. We awarded him a partial scholarship, whereby he worked at the institution as he studied, and he eventually graduated. Moses recently started a family of his own, and his wife is a teacher. He often jokes that it is education that opened doors to getting hitched to a teacher. Had he stayed in his own preoccupation as a welder, from whence a teacher's hand would have come in marriage? Impossible? No. Unlikely? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, there are numerous other Millie Nafuras and Moses Dhuos out there. And a few weeks from now, the Ministry of Education will release results of the 2023 KCSE exam. The number of needy students will no doubt increase tenfold. It is a quizless prospect that will continue to negate the vision for 100% secondary school to university transition rate. Using the internal statistics at MKU as an example, about 8% of the student population struggle to raise just 40% of the semester fee, and this figure translates to a staggering 3,600 students. Nevertheless, looking at the life stories of scholarship beneficiaries such as Millie Nafula and Moses Dhuo, we trudge on as a foundation, aiming to uplift as many students as we can. As a university, we have embraced more cost-effective education delivery alternatives such as e-learning, and implemented effective budget management strategies, and we pass on this benefit eventually to the needy students. Without such assistance to students, that is by way of scholarship, we all know that there will never have been a Bill Gates as we know him. The billionaire Microsoft co-founder was a recipient of the National Merit Scholarship in the US back in 1973. The same case, there would probably never have been an Oprah Winfrey as we know her. The Queen of Talk Show received a full scholarship from Tennessee State University, again in the US in the 1970s. Closer home, we know of the Kennedy Airlift Program, whose pantheon of greats include the late Nobel laureate Professor Wangari Maathai and international acclaimed researcher Professor William Were, amongst others. Having said that, I would like to clarify that this is not a fundraising event. Rather, it is a fundraising event whereby we hope to jumpstart a friendship and a partnership that will enable, empower, and inspire the next generation of doctors, teachers, leaders, scientists, and the whole breadth of adequately trained professionals. As I mentioned earlier, this is just an icebreaker, the first in a series of many that we will hold in our quest for a unified and equivocal voice on our contribution towards enhancing access to education. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I once again welcome you, and I assure you that we look forward to more enhanced partnerships. We look forward also to expanding this forum to involve more players in the education sector and align our efforts with appropriate education calendars, whereby we can anticipate the oscillation in demand for education funding and scholarships. In a special way, allow me to thank the NGOs Coordination Board, led by the Executive Director, Mr. Mtuman Kanata, who was instrumental in organizing this forum. He is with us here. I'm also informed that we shall share a copy of these deliberations with you and several other potential members who sent in their apologies for future reference and as a first step towards formulating the common voice of educational benefactors. Thank you very much for listening to me. And if time permits, we had prepared a short documentary of about 10 minutes long. Thank you for listening to me, your presence, and may God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. John, for that presentation. I just want to bring to your notice that on the table, there is a disclaimer. You know, we are in the era of data protection. And here we are taking photos, videos, and everything. I would wish to invite you to sign the disclaimer. If you don't have a copy, our protocol will help you to do that. Thank you. With that, I would like to invite the Director and the CEO, NGO Coordination Board, to make his presentation. And we know that all of us, the foundations who are here, we are under the board, so that you can say hi and make people to feel confidence that whatever they're doing the right thing. Karibu. Mr. Motoma, yes. Tumpige makofi akikuja.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? You're supposed to say, how do you do, sir? That's how I was taught when I was in primary school. Representatives of the Mount Kenya University Council. I know there are representatives of the Mount Kenya University here. MKU Foundation, the leadership, and the staff who are here. The patron, I know in absentia, Professor Gisharo, the NGOs and foundations present, and the private sector present. I know we are represented, KEMSA is represented here. It's a great honor and privilege to be in this particular forum. Very novel in terms of coming up and bringing together the funders of the education sector, trying to see how to navigate and ensure that all our children have access to education, they have access to quality education in all parts of this country, and despite the challenges that could be there. I know know we met with the CEO of the MKU Foundation, and we had a discussion in my office in terms of how do we partner on this particular event. We identified very few NGOs in that space. I know there are quite a number because as an organization, the NGO Coordination Board is mandated to register NGOs in the country. We regulate the NGOs in the country. We also receive annual reports from all NGOs capturing the various programs they have undertaken and the kind of resources expended on those programs, including in the area of education. And I'm happy that this partnership, we want to see that grows stronger and stronger. I know you have said that today is not a fundraising event. In any case, as government, our role now is to tax you and get more money from you. So I will not have brought any money now. So, but generally, we are happy as the NGO Coordination Board to partner with you and to partner with your stakeholders on this event. I know part of the presentation that I was supposed to give is to discuss some of the role of NGOs in accessing in access to education. Quite a number of you have quite mentioned during your presentation here about what you are doing, and basically that is the role of NGOs. And I don't want to repeat a lot because of the time, but one thing maybe I can see is that NGOs have played a significant role in putting up infrastructure in this country, particularly in areas that what we call remote areas, hustle areas, like northern Kenya, coastal region, and other parts of the country, where government resources have not effectively been able to touch those areas. And I can tell you for sure, even in our office, we have staff who have benefited, who in their 50s, they benefited from scholarships from NGOs, like the World Vision. The World Vision, we have 2 staff who have been educated by World Vision, and they're in their 50s. And there are quite a number, just in our institution, whereby we have about 80 staff. So basically we can see that there is a lot of work that has been done and is being done by non-governmental organizations in terms of providing infrastructure, education infrastructure, building schools, improving the school infrastructure that are there, ensuring that also they are training teachers, improving their pedagogy skills. We have seen that they are trying to impact on equity and relevance of education. We have seen them giving direct scholarships and bursaries and supporting families. During the COVID time, people were wondering how people are surviving in Nairobi, particularly in those slum areas and all that. I know there are some participants who are working in that space. And I can tell you there is that direct support that NGOs have been giving to families so that the kids are able to get food and therefore they are able to go to school. Because even if you pay their school fees and they don't have food at home, it will be very difficult for them even to attend classes. We have seen that. Basically, I can say that there is a lot of support, including in the areas of ICT, technology, making our kids to be up to standards. They have done a lot of areas in a lot of work in research. There are quite a number of organizations that are undertaking research in the area of education. And obviously, the other role that everyone thinks of NGOs is the issue of robbing government to influence policy. I know you have done a lot of work in terms of influencing policy, participating in decision making, influencing decision makers, including parliamentarians, MCAs, cabinet secretaries, the president and the deputy president. I know NGOs have played a big role to influence the direction of this country in terms of education. I know we will have a lot to share in the future. One of the objectives of this forum, which I am very happy and pleased that the foundation is thinking of it, is to come up with an association of organizations that are funding education. I think that's a very good idea among other objectives that you have. And as the NGO Coordination Board, I want to assure you of our support. Thank you very much and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Motoma, for your insight. For the last 2 weeks, I have been going around MKU campuses And I thought the regular students were needed a lot, you know, they needed us more in form of sponsorship. But I discovered that the school-based, or what we call distant institutional-based electronic learning, who are teachers, who are now in session, are more needy than the regular student. To talk about the economy and education, the impact of countries' economy on demand for scholarship and funding, is Dr. Vincent Gaido, the chair of the education sector, the of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. Dr. Gaido, you are welcome to, it's a real problem. Please take us through this as we forward forward.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Wow, this place is too high. I didn't know that this is how people are feeling from here. But let me observe a little protocol and recognize Geoffrey Monari, who has just walked out, the CEO, University Funds. Mutuma, the Executive Director, NGO Coordination Board. I also recognize John Koigi, the Director of Mount Kenya University, MKU Foundation. I recognize Mary Olubai, representative of the University Council, Mount Kenya University Council here. I also recognize Okodhe. Asante sana for the good job you're doing. And do you still sing? Can you dance for us this morning? I also recognize Professor Onderi, the principal in charge of linkages at Mount Kenya University. I recognize Hassan Abdel, Islamic Foundation. I also recognize Peter Orero, the principal in charge of student and alumni affairs at the university, and all of us here. In a very special way, I recognize all those who have responded to this invitation by Mount Kenya University. Do you call yourself Mount Kenya University Foundation, or do you call yourself MKU Foundation? What is the name? What is the registered name? So that you don't make mistake. This is the time for data protection. Mount Kenya University Foundation, thank you very much. It's good to call the foundation by its real name. I stand here on behalf of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. When I came in, I met this gentleman called Professor Kerosi. And Professor Kerosi was in a lot of problems. He did not know how to handle me. He started giving me duties that I'm supposed to behave in a particular manner on behalf of Mount Kenya University. And I told him, no. Today I'm not Mount Kenya University. Today I am KEPSA, the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. I do not know whether we have members. You know, the Kenya Private Sector Alliance is a big body of private players. I don't know whether you have members of KEPSA here. By show of hand? Ah, nice. Yes, KEPSA will always be somewhere. Because all of you, in one way or the other, you are private people. And you could be running some private businesses. And therefore, the body that you should belong to is KEPSA. Just to introduce KEPSA briefly, KEPSA, or the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, is the umbrella apex body of private sector in Kenya. It brings together local and foreign business associations, foundations, federations, chambers of commerce, professional bodies, corporates including multinationals, large and small size corporations, SMEs, and startups from all sectors of the economy, representing over 1 million businesses to enable them to speak with one voice when engaging government. Mutuma has said here that he is in government, actually he is the government in the house. And he has said one of the big things they are doing today is to look for every opportunity to get every coin to the state coffers. And we as private sector, we are working very hard to make the money so that the government can have the money to tax. And therefore, through KEPSA, we lobby, we discuss with government, and KEPSA is created as a mirror of the government. The government is made up of the various ministries. KEPSA has sector boards, and each sector board mirrors a government ministry. I am the chair of the education sector board, and therefore I'm the CS of education. I'm the CS of education in KEPSA. So what happens, KEPSA started during Kibaki's time, and it has continued to the present day. Any government in power seeks to interact with KEPSA because at the end of the day, KEPSA is an association that brings together over 1 million businesses, is therefore a major stakeholder, and any government that wants to succeed cannot ignore the private sector. In fact, if you remember, when the CSs and all government officials were being vetted to be determined whether they fit the dockets they were seeking for, you realize that all of them are actually from private sector. In one way or the other, they are holders of money. All of them, because they have to tell their wealth. And the wealth they talked about was all of it from private practice. So the government therefore plays and recognizes KEPSA. And since Kibaki's time, KEPSA has always been bedmate with government. It is non-political. And every sector board is supposed to interact with the government CS through what we call Ministerial Stakeholders Forum. I create a working relationship with the CS in charge of education so that whatever government is doing, whatever agenda of the government is, the private sector resonates well. Therefore, I would say that KEPSA engages with government and development partners and other stakeholders on cross-cutting policy issues affecting private sector development and implements programs that ensure socio-economic development in the country. KEPSA also supports businesses with opportunities for training, networking, financial linkage, mentorship and coaching, access to market, value chain, and investment opportunities with partners around the world. KEPSA serves as a federation of over 80 associations and professional bodies, including the Kenya chapter of the ICC. So KEPSA is therefore an important institution that is created to bring together the private sector. What about what you're doing here today? Of course, KEPSA recognizes the importance of education. In fact, KEPSA is the biggest consumer of the output of education. Throughout the entire education chain, at every stage, a number of people are released to the market. They are released to the market at primary level, at secondary level, at the university and so on and so forth. The question is, where do they go? Most of them, in fact all of them, sink and get into the private sector, into businesses. They become workers, they become the drivers, and therefore quality education for all would be a big benefit to the private sector. Because KEPSA, which runs businesses, would benefit most if we have qualified individuals. And therefore, any initiative that will make sure that students who are in the system get quality education, employable education, and education that is relevant, then the KEPSA fraternity will be the net beneficiary. And therefore, supporting scholarships is a major interest of any institution, and KEPSA in particular. Of course, we would ask ourselves, how does KEPSA then participate in the scholarship initiatives? Just to mention, like I said, among the members of KEPSA, we have Safaricom. Safaricom is one of the major players in the private sector. And therefore, through Safaricom, we have the Safaricom M-Pesa Foundation, which is known. And it is working in supporting a lot of people in the education sector. We also have the Base Titanium Scholarship, which supports 201 students in the Badari Marine Academy. We also have private universities that are also members of KEPSA, and through their initiatives, they have a number of scholarships. For example, at the Catholic University, we have what we call Cardinal Tunga Scholarship. This is a scholarship that Catholic University of Eastern Africa brings together stakeholders and partners to collect funds to support students within the university. We also have Riara University has its own foundation and has its own scholarship. Strathmore University, USIU, and of course Mount Kenya University has. Other than the foundation that we are celebrating today, Mount Kenya University also has, I'm informed, what we call the Chancellor Scholarship. The university, Mount Kenya University Chancellor, has a scholarship that goes towards supporting bright needy students. We also have many other scholarships that university students are accessing from philanthropists, from institutions, from individuals. And therefore, what I would say, an appeal to everybody, and especially people who have the ability, is to write a story, is to immortalize their names. We have seen people who have big controls of estates and investments. If only they could invest in education, if only they could put in resources in foundations, and that is the only way their own businesses and economies would be sustained. I remember in 2021, Equity Bank organized a trade mission, and this trade mission happened in DRC. It was Kenya DRC Trade Mission, and Equity, through the Kenya government, the DRC government, organized a tour of Kenyan businesses, business people and investors to go and see the opportunities that there are in DRC. At that time, DRC was about to be enjoined in the East Africa community. Of course, today we know DRC is a member of the East Africa community. And I had the opportunity to join in that trade mission. And we visited 4 cities in DRC. DRC is a big country. But in every forum, one of the things I noticed was that people are discussing trade and investment. Trade and investment. But there was very little mention of the software, the drivers of the trade and investment. Therefore, every step, every forum that we may have, I appeal to all of us to give at least 30% of the time to discuss the software of running trade and investment. And the software of running trade and investment is the human resource. How do we get relevant, well-prepared, and qualified human resource? We can get very resourceful human resource if we invest in education, if we invest in scholarships. It is tragedy. It is very tragic that we are having people wasting because of lack of funds. I thank MKU. We have already been shown. Daktari, come here. I think you need to celebrate you better. Come. No, I want to the other one. Bring her. Bring her. They're coming, Daktari. Bring her. Come, Daktari also. You need to introduce this one better. This lady almost got wasted. Come. Tell the story. You know her? Yes. Yeah, tell the story.
Thank you, Dr. Raito. This medicine that we introduced, she did very well, performed very well in KCSE. As you read the story and you saw the story, she could have been minus, but she could not be able to pursue her dream, which was to do medicine. And she stayed home for 14 years, until her story came to light. And through the foundation, we felt that the essence of the foundation was to support such cases, because she was a brilliant girl, only lacking opportunity. And the opportunity was because of funding. And therefore, our patron gave us a task. Professor Wanderi had to go all the way. Professor Wanderi, where are you? He had to go all the way to look for Millicent. And now here she is. She started her course. She's doing very well, and we are proud of her. And we know she will make a great doctor. Thank you.
Now, do you want to say something? You know I'm from KEPSA. Yeah. You want to say something? No. Okay. Now, are you passing exams?
Yeah,
I'm
passing. Napita.
Good. Okay. Now, I didn't invite you.
You know, I'm a master of confusion, and I want to bring a bit of confusion because from Madam Boss, I call them. Come and say to support medicine.
Now, okay, all right, come. You want to dance now?
No. You know, I'm touched. I'm laughing because if I would stay home for 14 years, I would have had 14 divorces and 14 children. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The 14 years touched me because I've also been in the university for the past 14 years. So with that few remarks, ma'am, God bless you. And I'm going to give you a check of 50,000 for your application.
Thank you very much. The 50, you know, you're going to get a check of 50,000. Remember, tithe, 10% to me. On a light note, thank you very much. I just felt it is important that we showcase a story and challenge our people. There's a cartoon. My daughter, before she went to the university, she used to watch this cartoon. It's called something SpongeBob. And there was this crab. The crab is an investor. The crab is a rich investor. It's another sea lifestyle of fish and other creatures. And there's this crab that runs a hotel. And the crab makes a lot of money. And in one episode I saw is where the crab had put a lot of money in the safe. And the money was rioting. The money was rioting in the safe, saying, spend us. So So I'm therefore inviting all of us, especially people with resources, to spend the money, and spend the money through scholarships. And they can go through the NGO Council, the NGO Board, and they can be shown how to create foundations, how to create NGOs that can become an icon of supporting scholarships. Because in Kenya, the biggest resource we have, we are not endowed with minerals at all, but we are endowed with education. And that is why the other day the president said he is trying to export 3,000 to 5,000 people every year to the world market. Because Kenya, we say, education thrives best in a peaceful environment. And Kenya being a peaceful country, education therefore becomes our hallmark. Let us then require and ask all people in the private sector, individually and collectively, to invest in scholarships, in foundations that will support young people to pursue their dreams. Having said all that, is to, of course, underscore the fact that among the challenges that we may face is resources, but resources are there. The issue is pooling the resources and sustainability. And therefore, I would appeal to MKU Foundation to come up with a very sustainable strategy, that this does not become a one-off, that it becomes a way of life, and through that, our economy will thrive. Having said all that, I wish you all the best. And since the year is just about to come to an end, and soon we shall be closing to go for Christmas, let me take this advantage and wish you a Merry Christmas and a very prosperous 2024 that is coming to us. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Gaido. I now invite, what happened with my list? Yes, Hassan Abdullah, the Country Director for Islamic Relief, to make his presentation. You can project his presentation so that he can be able to take us through that as fast as possible. Karibu.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, once more. My name is Hassan Abdullah, and I'm the Country Director of Islamic Relief. Islamic Relief is a humanitarian and development organization which is in Eastern Calcutta, with our compliance and making sure that we follow all the procedures around the NGO issues in the country. All the protocols observed. I'm not a storyteller like Dr. Vincent. I think generally, I'm going to present, let me just give you a small story. When I was called to this meeting, before I was called to the meeting, someone from the NGO board called me and said, we need to know to meet us. So when you get the NGO board, they do a lot of things, so it is a compliance issue that asking me to decide. But I was good enough to ask the gentleman who was calling me what about it, and then he said, we need to go to the Mount Kenya Foundation, the Master Foundation. And I said, what about them? And then he said, they just wanted me to come and explain to you. So I was glad enough to meet Mr. John, the CEO of Mount Kenya University Foundation. And he asked me if I could do a presentation around some of the things that we do around education. So I volunteered, and I have a small presentation here around what we do. Precisely, I didn't so much concentrate around the higher education, but basically we do a lot around basic education. So precisely, I have a presentation here. Islamic Relief, where I told you I lead the Kenyan chapter, but we are in our 40 countries. 40 countries. So basically we have a program around education, and maybe you could go to the next slide. The Islamic movement also covers several counties. We are concentrated in the counties that we think have accessibility problem. We're in the county of Mandera, we're in the county of Wajir, we're in the county of Garissa, we're in the county of Kilifi, we're in the county of Tana River, and then we're also in the county of Lamu currently, and then we are also in Kajiado and Marsabit. And we have some work also in Dadaab, which is the refugee camp, and also a few activities in the informal settlements in Nairobi. Basically, ours is to coordinate around the issues around humanitarian work and development initiatives. So I'm going to present something about education. So I think next slide, please. We have two areas of focus. So one area is around empowering communities and changing lives. Under this area, we have a food security and sustainable livelihood program. We have a program around inclusive education and protection. And then we have a program around what we call water sanitation and hygiene. And our water and sanitation and hygiene precisely also covers issues around schools. We're focusing also on emergency life-saving response to the humanitarian crisis, the most recent being the flood issues that are happening in the country. We're supporting those processes. We're building resilience around the communities that are affected by humanitarian issues. And then we have the issue around climate change, and then our climate change issues are also linked to the conflict issues that happen within the country, because climate change, the effects of climate change come with a lot of things. Next slide. On the inclusive education, basic education, Islamic belief supports children to secure a brighter future. Our work involves construction and repair of classrooms. We increase the issue around enrollment in schools. We train teachers. We provide assorted SME materials, particularly to special needs schools like the deaf schools, schools for blind, are things that we support. In the last 4 years, we were able to construct about 80 classrooms in the different counties. We were also able to provide about 1,000 desks to schools that have most desks. We provide, the issue around uniform, and then this is something we are starting because it's not an initiative that already existed. But basically, we thought that there was a need for also children to have uniform within the schools, especially children who are disadvantaged. We also focus on what we call dignity kids, sustainability packs for our girls, precisely to making sure that they are comfortable when they are studying, and then issues around SME. We also support water connections within schools, issues around water tanks, making sure that sanitation facilities are adequate in schools, precisely in the counties we work in. Next slide. We support the Refugee Education Support Program. From 2011 to 2017, Islamic Belief has been in the DAB supporting quality education for about 50,000 learners in 18 primary schools within E41, E42, E43 refugee camps in the DAB, precisely to support people who are really, really disadvantaged in those schools. We have a large orphan sponsorship program, particularly targeting orphans who have lost both, maybe have one parent or they have lost both parents. So we focus on about 3,375 orphans. We support them from the time they are toddler up to the time when they are at the age of 18 or when they are able to go to the university, precisely with life issues and then also their education. We need to make sure that they get their education adequately. The other issues that we do also are improving school learning environment, precisely around, most of our schools now, if you find, the CPC is coming up with a lot of demand in terms of school improvements. And we thought there was need for us to increase classrooms within the areas where we work. So a lot of our classrooms are now targeting both the class 1 to 6, and then the main secondary school 7 to 8, precisely to making sure that they are comfortable and they have somewhere to go. Next slide. We thought like we have invested so much in basic education, but we are not into vocational training. If you find in our country, we are not into vocational trainings, and we're also not into supporting universities. Children who have good grades, but they're not able to go to university. So we sponsor, particularly orphans, we sponsor them we pay the school fees, and we pay directly to the school, to the universities. And Mount Kenya is one of the universities that some of the students that we support go to. So, and you know, also in other universities, University of Nairobi and other public universities. We are now currently supporting over 100 students at different universities for scholarships, basically funding their studies at the school. What we also do is to equip TVETs. We have equipped about 14 TVETs now in the counties that we work. We provide learning equipment. We provide what we call instructional materials for those areas, particularly for market-driven opportunities or services or courses. Like these days we are into garment making, a lot around African attire and all these things. So we support that. We also support a lot around the beauty area, particularly beauty therapy and salon. A lot of our young girls have dropped out of school because they didn't pass so well, or they were not able to get school fees. So what we do is to support them if they want to go to the tertiary college or the TVETs, basically. We also do a lot around welding and fabrication, because these are areas that we really don't invest in. So we thought like was need for us to provide skills to the young people who have had no opportunity to go to the university, and give them more skills. There are issues around mechanics, vehicle mechanics, electrical, plumbing. All those things are some of the things that we do. Currently, over 700 learners have benefited from our scholarships around that vocational training. And then we are now into issues around how we can really work with the TVET colleges in terms of creating publicity and advocacy in the way young people who have dropped out of school in high school can be able to get skills. I think precisely those are some of the areas, I think in a nutshell. These are the areas that we support. And I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Let us give him another round of applause. Thank you. I wish to jump the queue and invite Joyfrey Monari, the CEO, University Fund, to come and make his presentation. Karibu.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to make a presentation this morning. First, I want to really thank the Mount Kenya Foundation for inviting me here this morning. This is because this is a very important occasion. But before I start my speech, I want to first recognize Dr. Vincent Kaido. He said today we should not call him Pro-Chancellor because he's representing KEPSA. And then my colleague, Mr. Mutuma Kanata from the NGO Council. You are doing a great job there. We all understand that what the NGO sector is doing in our country, it is really supporting our country in many, many sectors, especially the education sector. And also recognize Esther Akothe. It's a pleasure to meet you today. And you can see what you have done, how you can be able to change lives, and what you have done and what you will continue doing, because this is inspirational. And I believe there are many, many more philanthropists like you who will be attracted to this fund if we continue with this same spirit, because this is just the beginning, and I'm glad that Mount Kenya Foundation has taken this initiative to proceed like the way we are. Also recognize the Mount Kenya Foundation members who are here. for what they are doing and continue doing. I have seen my former colleagues from HELB, that is Moses and William. I hope you'll be making a presentation. William, you have a presentation. So I can cut mine briefly so that you continue. Where I'm saying that is because the university's fund is working closely with HELB, and having been there for about 23 years before I joined the university's fund, I know that they are doing a good job. And since the university funding has actually changed, when they do make their presentation, I'm sure it will be something that you'll see how we are conjoined as partners in this sector. So I was requested to make a presentation on the role of universities in enhancing access to higher education, and that's what I want to make briefly. And I wish to thank Mr. Koigi for inviting me. I was going to wait and make a presentation, but I received an urgent call from the PS's office. There's something they need, so I needed to request so that I could come forward, and they graciously agreed for me to do that. I know many of you may not know much about the Universities Fund. We were established by the Act of Parliament of 2012 and came into operation in 2016 to provide funds for sustainable financing to universities in Kenya, mobilize funds for the purpose of financing universities from government, donors, and from any other source, which now works with what Mount Kenya is actually doing, because they are resource mobilizing funds from many sources to help needy students. Advise the Cabinet Secretary in matters of university education, develop a criteria for allocation of funds to universities, and also to establish a maximum differentiated unit cost for all the programs that have been established. The other role is to give conditional grants to private universities. It is a role that I was discussing with Dr. Gaido, and I think we need to work on that more aggressively so that we can be able to provide these funds for to the universities, especially the private universities. Thank you for that. So today's event will, I'm sure, be able to encourage many people to give, because you can see education changes lives. From the illustration we have seen here from the lady who stayed away for 14 years and is able to now go to the university, it is a very clear indication that education can be able to change lives and can be able to, it is the only thing that you can not take away from people. You know, somebody can give you money to start a business, but that business may start and fail. But once you have been given education, no one can take it away from you. So as a country, we need to ensure that we continue educating our people and ensuring our people benefit from the education that we require. Kenya has been known for years to be the human capital hub for Africa. Many countries come to Kenya for that human resource that we have. We find Kenyans in many international institutions, and it's because they have gone to school and in good schools. Because we have got a huge, we have got a very elaborate university sector which is supporting the whole sector. And I want to appreciate private universities, because if you look at where we are as a country today, it's because of private universities that have supported the education sector. Years back, if many of you remember, university students used to wait for 2 years to join university because there was no capacity. Right now, we are talking about the students who graduated in 2022 are about to finish. In fact, they are currently undertaking their first semester exams. And in January, many of them will be going for second semester. So it means by April, they will have finished the first year. Several years back, if you remember, these students would be at home, waiting to join maybe university. The first students would be joining, that was 2022, would be joining 2024 next year in September. But because of the private universities that filled that gap that was there in terms of capacity, these students were able to be accelerated. And many people do not say this, but it's something that as a country we need to appreciate, because the young people of this nation, if you leave them for that length of period, I'm sure you are losing very many students. It's only that we don't have the statistics to be able to show as a country the number of students we were losing. The support. Currently, as a country, we have 79 universities. Out of these, we have public chartered universities are 25, and you can see the huge impact that they are making. Private universities with constituent colleges are 3. Universities with a letter of interim authority are 8. This is the private sector space. And public universities, we have 37. And then public constituent colleges are 6, bringing a total of 79 universities. We have seen many reforms in this sector over the years, and these reforms have been taking place. The last reform was this year, when the Presidential Working Party that was set up on 22nd of September by His Excellency the President set out to go around the country to see how we can be able to reform the education sector. And one of the key reforms that they came up with is a new fund. Was not enough, because the model that was there, that is the DUC, expected government to give 80% of funding of any program, and 20% would come from either health or the household. But progressively, over the years, the highest government was able to fund was 66% in the year 2019-2020. As at last year, the government funded at 48%, and for the one for health and the household, basically the tuition remained constantly from 1989 to this year at 16,000. And surely if you look at 16,000, that is even cheaper than what you pay in secondary school, the district, the DEPs in the district. So it meant that the quality of our education was actually suffered, and something had to be done. And we thank the President for taking this initiative, because it is criticized, but we realize that over this period of time, universities were not giving the quality education. And one of the key things you must realize that, and I commend the private universities for, because we were supplementing government. In the private, the figures I gave of 48% is for public universities. In the private sector, the highest we got was 22% of the DUC. Last year we funded at 18%, which tells you the gap that they were feeding as private institutions across the country. So this has been a challenge, and you can say that the sector has been underfunded. And you've seen that is where universities have got debts. We are talking about by the end of September, public universities had debts amounting to 77 billion, which is a lot of money in our economy. So, we came up with those reforms, and 3 institutions are implementing those reforms, that is COOPS, health, and the university funds. Last year alone, there were 173,127 students who got C+ and above. But interestingly, which many people don't realize, this was only 19% of the 862,000 students who sat for KCSE. And I can tell you 19% is very, very low. The countries around here, Tanzania and Uganda, are talking about 30 to 35%. If you go to Asia, where we say we were together in 1963, these people have got, the transition rate to university is at 60% to 70%. And yet here, when we are at 19%, generally Kenyans complain that those are so many students who are going to university. In fact, I dare say, if this year we can get to 25-30%, then we'll be going to the right direction. Because it gives, you rather have students who have gone to school than ignorant people. It is not the pride of any nation to have so many students left out of the education sector. It is something that we need to think as a country, and we should not be swayed by social media when you see people complaining that so many people are passed. When we look at the figures of 19%, how many people are those who are passed? In fact, we should be crying as a country. But you know, most of the time, because some people are pushing a certain narrative, they say that this is a high number. It is not at all. I have given you statistics. We are talking about 19% only. So where do we take the other 81% as a country? That is why if today I have money and I'm calling for a value somewhere around here, you will get a huge number of youth who are getting wasted away. We have seen the drugs, what is happening in our country because of that problem. There is another narrative that people are not getting jobs. We are not creating jobs for Kenya. We are creating jobs, human capital for people who are, for Kenyans to go around the world. And I support the president when he says that he has gone wherever to create. If those jobs will be able to be created, that is where we should be going. We should not, if you go to Rwanda today, most of the teachers there are Kenyan. If you go to Seychelles, there was a plan like that and they are there. And I think Mauritius. If you go to the UK, there are the narrative that we should not have as many Kenyans going to university or we have them staying around is a narrative that we should be really worried about as a country. And it's my request that we look at that, because if you look at the sector, you see, if I go below that, I talked about 19%. The ones who got C and C minus were 24%. These ones can go to diploma. Certificate and craft were the highest, those ones who got D plus and D. That is 33% of the students last year got D plus and D. So it means they have to go to work their way up. Their journey up is quite long. It doesn't mean that they will not get there, but it takes them quite a while. Artisan labor was 22.5%. That is 195,259 students. So you can actually see, out of the 869,000 students last year, the cohort that got the least was university level. And yet, as a country, we pride ourselves that we got so many students going to the university. I think it's something that we need to worry about as a country and see that this change is moving forward. And I'm glad that the Ministry of Education this year through the Presidential Working Party has changed the grading structure so that the main compulsory subject is math, and then you can either, the best that you do either in English or Kiswahili, that is what they'll be able to take, and three other subjects make them 5 of the best subjects. So it means that if you are good in arts, then you can be able to go to university easily. If you are good in sciences, you can be able to remove the art subjects that you do not do well, and this, we believe, should be able to spur our economy and ensure more students go to the university. Because the capacities that we have in public universities, they declare capacity of 200,621, and yet the placement that was done was only 130,000. Private universities, the capacity was 52,312. However, because of the change in the formula, they only got 9,622 students. TVET colleges capacity was 478,308, but they got only 125,507 students. So you can see the capacity in our countries. It's only that the education sector and the way it was before, and we want to see the changes because of the new reforms that were proposed by the presidential working party. This will be able to change the sector. And we move from where we are. We ensure that the students that especially go to the university do not drop out. There is less deferment. There are very many unethical activities that happen in universities for students to survive. This will be stopped. Students are stressed. I can tell you, because the funding was low previously, and we have seen this time the government has pumped in an additional 20 billion, many students were stressed because of the level of funding. You can imagine many students in the universities eat what we call, as any of you ever eaten ngumu? You have said, I'm not maybe for fun. but you can imagine these students take ngumu and tea, strong tea for breakfast. For lunch, there's something else they say they skip, so you skip, so it passes. In the evening, you take another ngumu. How do you expect this person to do? This person will be perpetually sick, and at all times. Because first of all, the food they're eating is not balanced, it is not enough, and they cannot be able to undertake their studies. It's something that, as a country, we need to get worried, and foundations like this are coming in to assist where the gap is there. But I can tell you that the situation in our universities is not good, either whether you're in public or private universities. But we expect that this new funding formula, which has pumped in more money, will be able to assist. For example, and I'm sure William will be able to illustrate, even the highest loan that they used to give was 60,000, but 80 goes to the university. Now that rate has not, it remains with the students. So the increase to the money going to the pocket has increased to 60,000, which will be a boost to this university. So as I conclude, as a sector, we have been evaluating the need levels. And I think as a foundation, I hope you are looking at how you can be able to look at the most needs in the society. And some of the areas that you look at is the family economic background, affirmative action based on if you are an orphan coming from a marginalized area, or the gender, are you a person who is enabled differently, and also looking at national development priority areas. So the tool that we use is called the means testing instrument, which looks at the parent's background, the gender, the coastline, the previous schools, expenditure in education as a family. If you have got 2 or 3 students in the university, then that is considered. The family size is also considered. Are you coming from a marginalized area? And are you living with disabilities? Other reforms that the Universities Fund is working with the universities is for universities to be more independent, so that they become more entrepreneurial. Because we all know it is not sustainable for the government to continue funding universities at 100% the way it is currently. That is not possible. So they have to become more entrepreneurial. We are pushing them to commercialize their research, and I'm glad that Mount Kenya University itself, and I was there, is it this week or last week? They have already started a program for them going towards becoming more entrepreneurial. They were showcasing about 40 companies that period of time, and this is a good initiative because we want to see the students. Many of them do research, but after you do research, if you go to many of the universities, those books, the black books, you know the black. I'm sure most people here, they have them even at their home because you keep a copy, but you don't refer to it. Those black books are in the libraries. But we need to commercialize. They are very good ideas there. When we were there, we saw a student who can be able, due to the economy, you can use M-Pesa to buy as much water or oil as possible. There's a machine you was using, and you can press 10 shillings, it gives you water worth 10 shillings. If you press, and it's automatic, because, for example, right now, you go to the slums, people are buying based on what they make per day. And that is why the Kadogo economy is very popular. Because if I earn 100 shillings, I cannot go to a supermarket. I don't think I can get oil for 100 shillings. But if I earn 100 shillings a day or 200, I can go and buy something for 30 shillings, and I remain with, at the end of the day, 50 shillings for my savings. But for that day I've eaten, because tomorrow I'll be able to get some more money. So that is the economy we are in, and that's how many of the Kenyans are living. But unfortunately, we need to facilitate them, because such a tool that you will give you, they need to go to machine. But the student said he doesn't have resources to now roll it out. And that is why it was important. Mount Kenya had brought in industry to be able to see how they can work with such students. We are also looking at areas of data reforms in the university sector, so that we can have proper data, how many students are being churned out from universities, are they being employed, which sectors do they go to, and how